The 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita was as per Sanskrit, it was named as Kshetra Kshetragnya Vibhaga Yoga. And the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is also called as Guna Vibhaga Yoga. So, Guna Vibhag. So, three gunas are there and their divisions are being mentioned. So, just to take a summary of what all things were discussed in the last workshop. So, if all devotees are able to hear me clearly, bro, you can just write in chat box why, so that I can understand you all are there. You can just write because today microphone is changed for me. So you can just write why. Okay, so devotees are able to hear. So perfect. So in the last workshop, Prabhu, if we just to summarize what all points we discussed, if we can just write in just 1-2 words what all things were there, 1-2 words or one statement in the 13th chapter, what were the vital themes which we discussed in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So you can just write whatever comes to your mind. You can just quickly write in chat box so that we come to know what all different concepts which we touched upon, or any powerful shloka. Now, before without seeing Bhagavad Gita, you recollect some powerful shloka from that chapter. What were the very powerful shlokas, like memorization shlokas or anything you remember? So Anil Prabhu is saying 6 topics we discussed: Kshetra, Kshetragya. Okay, very good. Any other devotees? You can just write down whatever comes to your mind from entire last 4 sessions which we discussed, so that we go ahead now with that theme ahead. Okay, Shantanu Bro is telling Purusha and Prakriti. Anil Bro is saying Jnanam Gamyam. Okay, Jnanam Gneyam. It's not Gamyam. Jnana Gamyam. Yeah, Jnana Gamyam and Jnana Gam. Oh, Deepak Bro is telling 20 items of knowledge. Very good. And that was a very powerful shloka. Correct indeed. Any other? So precisely, yeah, the 6 topics, which first the verse number 1 where Arjuna asks these questions, and then Krishna replies. Then Krishna gives little more elaborate explanations of this topic. There were 20 items of knowledge, which helps to gain the knowledge. And then later, there was a discussion about how a jiva gets conditioned to this material world and what is the way. So in the last chapter, Krishna spoke something about this concept called as Pradhana, Guna, Prakriti, Purush, and how these things are combined together. That is by modes. So I'll just share screen, and what is the precisely. I'll show you some small video which will give you summary study of entire this chapter, so that before only we know what we should expect from this chapter. So yeah. Okay. So we are in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 3 modes of nature. And in one line, if you want to write, what is the subject matter of this chapter? Please, someone can read, Prabhu. Anil Prabhu, you can read. What is the subject matter of this chapter? You can unmute yourself and read here. Oh, someone else can read. Whoever is able to read.
I'll just read. Chapter 14. All embodied souls are under the control of the 3 modes or qualities of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Lord Krishna explains what these modes are, how they act upon us, how one transcends them, and the symptoms of one who has attained the transcendental state.
Yeah. So this is the basic subject matter of this entire chapter. And what is the connection with the last chapter? How this 13th chapter and 14th chapter they get connected? So there is a short description. Please read, Prabhu.
Connection with chapter 13. The key verse connecting chapter 13 to chapter 14 is Bhagavad Gita 13.22. Purusha prakatisto hi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangasya sadasad yoni janmasu. The living entity in material nature follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Chapter 13 described the conditioned soul as distinct from material nature, yet entangled by it, trapped within this field of activities. Chapter 14 reveals in detail how the living entity is limited and controlled within his field by the powerful shackles of material nature, the three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. At the end of chapter 14, Krishna informs us how to attain freedom from these modes.
Yeah. So basically, in the 13th chapter, if you find the body, it was mentioned that living entity has a body, and this living entity body was compared to a kshetra. Kshetra means field. So sometimes in the farming, or those who are accustomed to farming, so we know there is a field and there is a bull there, or there are cows there in the goshala or anywhere you find. So now we have a field to work upon, and we are the owners of that field, or we are the managers of the field. That is Kshetragya. But it is not that, despite of being in this field, still we are limited by certain ropes. Like a cow, when the cow is tied to a neck with a rope, then the cow can walk into particular kind of a diameter or radius, or that much only it can go. So despite now we I like I have a human body, another living entity also has a human body, and there are devtas also, they have a body, but we find the kind of thing which devtas are able to do, I am not able to do. Even what to speak of devtas. Let's consider there are special living and specially empowered souls on this planet only, or like human body only. Like we find some great Kshatriyas, Shivaji Maharaj or any other Kshatrapati or Maharana Pratap. They used to lift a sword of 50 kilo weight. Now my weight is only not 50 kilo. They used to lift the weight of 50 kilo in one hand, and they used to fight. If we have to do this, then I think our entire energy will just go in lifting that 50 kilo weight and climbing. But they used to effortlessly fight with this. So we may say that okay, they were very, very powerful. But even let's not consider the bodily strength, the mental capacity and all. So we find everyone has been given certain adhikar even in this body. So even we are given into this field, but there are some ropes tied to us. एक रस्सी बांध के रखा है हमको. So that rassi is not allowing us to act independently. So there are certain restrictions put up. And what are those restrictions put up? These restrictions are mainly these three modes. So in the last chapter 13.22, there was a great description about how living entity is placed into different species, how he gets different bodies, and how the different bodies are created. So he said the different bodies and the different 84 lakh species are nothing but permutations and combinations of the three modes of material nature. So in the 13.22, he said, Purusha Prakrusastohi Bhumte Prakriti Jan Gunan. And in the 13th chapter, we also discussed about that how conditioned soul is different. Kshetragya is different than Kshetra, but still it is somehow entrapped within it. And so now in the 14th chapter, why it is entrapped? Because of these three ropes which are bound to us. And these three ropes are which one? That is goodness, passion, and ignorance. And so in this end of this chapter, there will be description about how to attain freedom from these three modes. So I'll just show you some small video which will give you entire summary of this what we are going to discuss today. Because sometimes in a video format we see it goes little more into all of you prefer English or Hindi? What kind of video? Devotees, which video? Hindi is also there, English is also there. English is okay, no? I think English is okay.
Yes, Guruji.
You are able to see this?
Yes, Guruji, but not able to hear. I think you need to do share sound.
Please let me know if you are able to hear. Huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
Chapter 14. The Three Modes of Material Nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare." Chapter 14. The Three Modes of Material Nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare."
Prabhuji, it has stopped. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, sorry, am I on still on? I don't know. You're able to hear me, bro? I think suddenly
We are able to hear you, Prabhuji, but the video, I guess,
there was
it
a
stopped at after few seconds
no,
only.
actually,
Freezed.
I think there is a issue with the internet. That's why.
I
Okay,
think
I'll just
bandwidth. Yeah,
I'll optimize it so that
yeah.
I'll try once more. If it doesn't work, let me know.
Okay.
To you is supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance, covering one's knowledge, binds one to madness. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way there is always competition for supremacy. The manifestations of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. The result of pious action is pure, and is said to be in the mode of goodness, but action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops, and from the mode of ignorance develops foolishness, madness, and illusion. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Arjuna inquired, "O my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes of nature?" The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature." One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness.
Hare Krishna. So video was visible, na Proji? At least audible or visible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So this was like a quick glimpse about what is going to be there in this chapter. And now we go ahead with the verses, because this verses you might have read many several times. So I just thought to give what all things are coming in this chapter. In case you could not see the video or you could not understand much. So here in this, okay, I have to change. Okay. So this entire chapter has around 5 sections. The first section, the first 4 verses, that is section 1, they discuss about how the living entities are conditioned in this world. And because of 3 modes, basically that energy will be there. And second section will discuss about how modes, they bind us. Even if we want to act by certain way, but because we are bound, then how goodness conditions ones to happiness, how passion conditions ones to fruitive activities, and how ignorance conditions one to madness. In the section 3, there's a description about how there is a competition amongst modes. It is not that there is only one mode which is currently active and all. There is always a competitions, and we keep on changing from one mode to another mode, and that is our choice which mode we want to get empowered by. Section 4 will mention about what are the results of different modes. If we act in certain mode or if we die in the certain mode, what all the results which a person is going to attain. And the last section, the last 10 shlokas, 8-10 shlokas are discussing about how to transcend these modes. So this is the brief summary of this entire chapter. So 5 sections are there. So let's come to the first section of this chapter, that is 14.1. Okay, so we'll go through purports also because this chapter is little shorter chapter. So certain sections of purport will go, and wherever required, we'll also go through Acharya commentaries. Okay. So 14.1. Some devotee can read the translation. I'll just recite the shloka. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuya Pravakshami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñatva Munaya Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gata Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuya Pravakshami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñatva Munaya Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gata. Yes, Prabhu, please someone can read.
Abhishek Prabhu.
Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection."
Devi Prasad Prabhu, you want to say something?
No, project, no.
Okay. So now, if you see here, what Krishna is saying, again I shall declare you this supreme wisdom. This supreme wisdom. So what? It's something which was already described before. So he said, but the best of the all the knowledge. Now, sometimes there is a confusion. In the first six chapters are called as the confidential knowledge, and the middle six chapters are called as most confidential knowledge, and the latter chapters are called as more confidential knowledge. So sometimes there is a confusion, which is confident, which is more better knowledge. Is the knowledge in the 13th chapter better? Or is the knowledge in the 6 to 9 chapter is better? Or is the knowledge in the first to 6 chapters are better? Because if you come across the purports, Krishna will again. So this is one, if you see in all the chapters, Krishna first glorifies the knowledge which he is giving. So generally, whenever you give any kind of presentation, or this is like you might have seen in marketing also, people do like this, that any product or anything you want to take, first we have to create the hunger for a person to understand what I am speaking and why I am speaking and how it is very important. So Krishna is also very expert teacher. So he also first glorifies what knowledge he is giving. So he's telling that the knowledge which I am giving, it is quite one of the highest knowledge. And now, how is it highest knowledge? If the knowledge given in the middle six chapter was the highest knowledge, because this knowledge is an addition to that knowledge. So it is glorifying that knowledge only. So this knowledge currently what we are getting, this knowledge is glorifying the knowledge which is there in the middle sixth chapter, or it is enhancing it. It is like a decoration on that knowledge. So that's why it is not that the knowledge is middle sixth chapter, that is the most confidential knowledge. But this latter chapters, they are like decorating it more and more and more and more and more. So that's why I said, I'm telling you something which is much more better. And knowing this knowledge, all the sages in the past, they have attained perfection. So here one word comes that is called as bhuya, param bhuya. So bhuya means what? Again. I am going to speak you something again. Means that again means this knowledge was again already spoken before. So that's why the word comes as bhuya. Okay, I'll just show you the some few translations. Abhishek, you can read. Okay, you can read the purport only, bro, because salient points, no need.
Okay, Prabhuji.
You can read this one. Is it big enough or too small?
Maybe we can make it bigger, Prabhuji. We can, yeah. Yes, Prabhuji, this is good.
Yes, bro, please read.
Yeah. Purport from the 7th chapter to the end of the 12th chapter, Sri Krishna in detail reveals the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead. Now, the Lord Himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he will come to an understanding of devotional service. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be freed from material entanglement. It has also been explained that it is due to association with the modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now, in this chapter, the Supreme Personality explains what those modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attain perfection and transport to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far superior to all other processes of knowledge, thus far explained, and knowing this, many attain perfection. Thus, it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection.
Hi. So we are studying the 14th chapter. Let's pray that if you understand the 14th chapter, let's pray for the mercy of Lord and Acharyas. That if you understand, even I understand well, then we'll attain perfection. So again, as I said, now how is it that this is a Jnana Yoga section? This is a Jnana Yoga section of Bhagavad Gita. The first 6 chapters were Karma Yoga, and then the middle 6 were Bhakti Yoga. But here it Prabhupada is writing the knowledge given in the Jnana Yoga section is better than the previous one. But we know that the Bhakti is the best one. We do not say that Jnana Yoga is the top one. So actually, this Jnana is not the Jnana of Mayavadis. That which denies the existence of Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form. This Jnana is a Bhakti Jnana. Because when our acharyas give this commentary and our acharyas understand, then we understand this knowledge is the knowledge which is helping in bhakti. So bhakti also, some knowledge is helpful in performance of bhakti. So I said that's why this knowledge is considered to be more superior or quite better. Otherwise, we should not wrongly think that Jnana Yoga is much more better than Bhakti Yoga. This knowledge is helping us to do Bhakti Yoga in a better way. That's why this knowledge is considered more superior. So this was the first verse. Now here one word comes is philosophical speculation. Yeah, Buddhi Yoga. Okay. So philosophical speculation, this word you might have come. Where this came? Yeah. In the third line, if you see, if one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation. Now, why is philosophical speculation? Philosophy, generally, it is not good to speculate. No? We should have a Shabda Praman. We should not speculate. But there is a difference between mental speculation and a philosophical speculation. So generally, that philosophical speculation, which takes away from the conclusions of the scripture, that is not very good. But philosophical speculation to understand whatever concept has been told by acharyas in a more better way, digging deep inside, that is much more better. Like in the last class, our I think Devi Prasad Prabhu, someone was asking about why does the super soul exist in dead matter? So even I discussed about it. I knew a little bit what I shared, same answers I got from the different teachers, but I also started thinking a little more about this. What exactly super soul does inside the dead matter? Then they said ki, then it went into very deep speculation category. Like a lot of questions were coming, what exactly does and what he does, why it is required. And then later answer came, we are not the part of Sankhya yogis. If you want to get the answers more detailed way, you have to go to Sankhya yoga. But whatever knowledge is helpful for performance of bhakti and whatever basic minimum, that much is given. Otherwise, this goes into a lot of a Sankhya Yoga wala concept. What exactly 24 elements are, how they combine together, and how this happens, how that happens. Too much technicality. That goes into the Sankhya Yoga section. And whatever basic minimum is required to go on, that much is given as a part of Bhakti Yoga practitioner. So what does super soul do inside the dead matter? It is said even the dead matter, the strength which a dead matter gets, like if an atom to act like an atom, for a molecule to behave and the protons and electrons and everything to move there, even in the dead matter, the energy source is super soul. So the without super soul, even a matter cannot function very properly. So if two things have to combine, like bonds have to be formed, PNP, NPN, all those bonds, without super soul's presence, even that cannot happen. So that is the main purpose of super soul. Now exactly what super soul does inside and all that technicalities are not known. So philosophical speculations. Philosophical speculation means trying to understand the subject matter from different angles. That is called as philosophical speculation. Like we are also trying to do. We discuss a topic, we question our understanding, and we try to understand in a more better way. That is called as this one. Okay. Some What is philosophical speculation? Is philosophical speculation good or bad? Please read, Prabhu.
Philosophical speculation, good or bad? The proper use of intelligence is to understand Shastric truths. Usually, Srila Prabhupada decries philosophical speculation because it is generally used as a process that attempts to uncover the absolute truth by one's limited intellectual strength. In his purport, however, Srila Prabhupada invites readers to engage in philosophical speculation. Here, philosophical speculation refers to hearing from bona fide sources and then using one's intelligence to understand what has been heard.
Yeah. So this is for the reason we do philosophical speculation. And here philosophical speculation also basically refers to mananam aspect, contemplation. Because most of the times we hear the subject matter and immediately we go back to our next duties. But if the knowledge has to remain inside our memory, at least in our consciousness for a good amount of time, then we have to dwell upon that subject matter a little more better way. This helps to internalize the knowledge. Otherwise, this is a very famous. I have asked these questions to many devotees, many hundreds of times, I guess, from last so many years, and still I sometimes I keep on asking. Although I get same answer again and again, but I still sometimes ask this question. Roji, there is a lot of theoretical knowledge which I am getting again and again. So much information, but no transformation. Why is it that way? And many times Radheshyam Prabhu has given the answer that Prabhu, you might be getting lot of information, but if it is not leading to transformation, then that means there is one problem. Like if I'm taking a lot of food, there is a lot of food which I am taking, but there is no growth in my body, or I'm not getting nourishment. Then that means what? Either there are parasites in the body, or there are some doubts which are leading not to take this, or if, let's say parasites are also not there. But then what? There is no digestion capacity in the body. So food is going, it is coming out. There is no digestion system. And what is that digestion system? So we said that is the aspect of mananam. So whenever we gain the knowledge, it has to also go through the process of mananam. So when we contemplate on the knowledge, then it goes little more deep inside. So this is about speculation. Okay, next verse. So basically in the first verse, Krishna glorified the knowledge which he is going to give. So in the next verse, he will speak that, okay, if you gain this knowledge, what will be the benefit which you will get? So first he spoke about what knowledge I am giving you is a very good knowledge, and what is the benefit you will get by getting this knowledge. So we'll read the verse number 2. Yes, Prabhu, someone can recite the shloka nicely and also read the translation.
Aditya Gaurang Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharyam agata sargepi nopajayante pralayena yathanti cha. By becoming fixed on this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature, like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution.
Yeah. So idam. The word idam means here this knowledge. What is the result of attaining this knowledge? Idam jnanam upashritya. So upashritya. The meaning of this word Prabhupada writes is upashritya. that is attaining the upashritya, like we say Upanishad. So upashritya, this knowledge has to be attained, it has to be received. And how do we receive this knowledge? This knowledge is received. Baldev Vidyabhushan, he writes that this knowledge is attained by service to Guru. This knowledge cannot be attained by our own efforts. When we please Guru and when we render seva to the Guru, this knowledge is attained. So knowledge has to be received. We cannot just we cannot forcefully, it has to be received from someone. It is a gift. So upashritya, idam jnanam upashritya. Okay, let's say somebody has received this knowledge, then what is the benefit of this? Mama. Mama sadharmyam agatah. That is, he writes, Mama means he will attain my sadharmyam. Sadharmyam samachar is right. It is like getting form like me. Somebody will get a form like me, or he will attain nature like me. Dharma. Dharma means nature. So he will also attain nature like me. And some acharya is right. It is not exact nature. It is rupa like me. So agata. Someone will become like a spiritual personality like me. सर्गे पी नोपजायन्ते प्रलये च न व्यथयन्ति च. Pralaya means destruction, and sarge, that is creation. So he said sarge nopajayante, such a person will never take birth again at the time of next creation, and neither he will be annihilated. He will have to see the dissolution again. So he said such a person is freed from the repeated birth and death. So he said, by taking shelter of this knowledge, the knowledge which is going to come in the next few shlokas. So if we take shelter of this knowledge, we take benefit from this knowledge, then a person will be freed from the repeated birth and death. And sargepi nopajayante pralaye na vyathayanti cha. That is the explanation given by. So, okay, we'll read the purport and yes, Prabhu, you can read the purport.
Purport. After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in his transcendental loving service. So, even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes of material nature is called a transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in that transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form. This spiritual identity becomes formless without any variegatedness. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there one is equal in equality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. Will I continue, Prabhu?
Suji, I think you are in mute.
So Prabhupada has covered in a very beautiful way from the commentaries of Vishnu Chakra Thakur and also from the commentaries of Baldev Vidyabhushan. So mainly Prabhupada refers to the commentaries of Baldev Vidyabhushan. If you want to get a glimpse of this, like mainly Prabhupada has referred to commentaries of Baldev Vidyabhushan, also to the commentaries of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, and Prabhupada has given the essence, the practical knowledge So in case you don't have the commentaries of Acharyas, you can see just here how Prabhupada is so beautifully writing this. Attaining this knowledge, which I will describe through the service to the Guru. So here Baldev Bhushan writes, service to Guru. Upashritya means service to Guru. People have attained 8 qualities appearing through practice, which are similar to my 8 qualities. So what are those 8 qualities? I also little bit don't know, Prabhu. Means, what sadharmyam? What are the exact 8 qualities which are similar to like Lord? I think I have to go through that. All these 8 qualities eternally manifest. These persons are not subject to karma of taking birth or dying, sarge pralay. And Prabhupada, see this shloka said, na, the great saintly persons look at the lotus feet of the Lord. So whenever any quotation comes, Prabhupada gives translation. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayah. So that is in Rigved. So Prabhupada elaborates on the commentaries of the different acharyas like this. And he gives a very practical wisdom which is there. So some salient points from this purport which I find are Prabhupada is writing here, after getting this knowledge, one acquires qualitative oneness and not quantitative oneness. Because Mayavadis misinterpret this verse that one attains sadharmyam. Sadharmyam, they say they get the dharma like a lord, they get a like nature like a lord. So Mayavadi people tell like that. But Prabhupada is saying, in all the acharyas they were saying, it is qualitative oneness. It is not the loss of identity. And in the material world, all the knowledge, no matter it is physics, chemistry, biology, zoology, geography, history, anything that is contaminated by 3 modes of nature. And Prabhupada says the knowledge which is not contaminated by 3 modes is called transcendental knowledge. And anyone who has attained this knowledge, he will attain liberation. So first verse told about why this knowledge is very special. And second verse speaks about the result of attaining that knowledge. So having glorified the knowledge, now Krishna is going to speak something about what is the relationship between Jiva, Prakriti and himself. Like as I mentioned in the last chapter, the details will come here. So what Mahat Tattva or Mahat Brahma, same thing only. So how these things actually combine. Like I had given you an example of atta. Atta is there. Atta has rice and atta has some besan and different elements are there. They are all called as pradhana. When but when they mix with the modes of nature, they are called as mahat tattva. When the modes of nature mix into pradhan, they are called as mahat tattva. And these are all and prakriti. Prakriti is also sometimes called as mahat. So this all description about how jiva comes in contact with prakriti or matter, that is being mentioned in the third verse. We'll come to the third verse. Yes, Prabhu, someone can please read the shloka and the translation.
Jai Khatare Prabhu.
Shloka number 3.
Yes,
Mama yon yes, Prabhu. Mama yonirmahad Brahma tasmin garbham dadhami aham sambhavaha sarvabhutanam tato bhavanti bharata. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings. O son of Bharata.
Mhm. So sometimes this word has to be understood very clearly, right? Okay, let's do a little quiz to see how alert you are. Hmm? So if you see this word Brahman, there is a okay. I'll write the word. You have to explain me the meaning of this word. Okay, because sometimes devotees I see, means even I had a tendency to get confused sometimes. What is the difference between all this? So there is one called as Brahman. There is one word called as Brahman. Then there is one word called as Brahmin. You see these words? So some things are very clear. When we say Aham Brahmasmi, out of this, which word is correct for this? Aham Brahmasmi. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. Aham Brahmasmi means I am spirit soul. Okay. Some devotees are saying second. Perfect. Aham Brahmasmi, Brahman. Okay, and Brahman. So, Brahman and Brahman. Okay, both these words can be correct. Second is also correct. Aham Brahmasmi. It is not Brahma. Brahma means Brahma. Then it is not Brahman. Brahman means wandering into the material world. Brahmin means one who follows the Brahma Dharma. That is Brahmin. So this is a very just a small activity like that I said, because there is a great confusion. So whenever now here we find which word is coming here, Mahad Yonir, Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi is also this only, a Brahmasmi. That Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit soul. Okay, let's read into this purport for this shloka. I will come to the analogy later. This is a very nice purport. In this purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning about how the living entities they are created, how they jiva contacts the matter. Yes, bro, please read.
Purport. This is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetragna, the body and the spirit soul. This combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God Himself. The Mahat Tattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation, and that total substance of the material cause, in which there are three modes of nature, is sometimes called Brahman. The Supreme Personality impregnates that total substance, and thus innumerable universes become possible. The total material substance, the Mahat Tattva, is described as Brahman in the Vedic literature. Mundaka Upanishad 1.1.19. Tasmadetat Brahma Namarupam Annanam cha Jayate. The Supreme Person impregnates that Brahman with the seed of the living entities. The 24 elements, beginning from earth, water, fire, and air, are all material energy, and they constitute what is called Mahat Brahma, or the Great Brahman, the material nature. As explained in the seventh chapter, beyond this there is another superior nature, the living entity. Into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thereafter all living entities are born of this material nature. The scorpion lays its eggs in a piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice. But the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entity. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as a products of the material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activities, has a different body created by this material nature, so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all the manifestations of living entities in this material world.
Pruji, you're on mute.
This analogy will come in your exam, so please memorize this analogy. So here we find scorpion. Sometimes when you open a rice, will not find such a big scorpion. It's a too big scorpion, but we'll find a scorpion inside the body, from inside the rice. So it may appear that scorpion has taken birth from rice. So rice is the cause of birth of scorpion. Now, so we know very clearly some scorpion might have laid some eggs inside. There were eggs of scorpion inside which appeared like white only. Both appears white. Rice is white and scorpion eggs are also white. Gradually they matured and scorpion takes a birth. So the seeds were kept by mother scorpion inside that. Similarly, Prakriti is not the cause of only birth of material living entities. Inside the Prakriti, the eggs or the bija was put by Supreme Lord. So if you now see the technical concepts about what all these things are mentioned here. So here it is said the great expanse is called Prakriti, is my womb. So the great expanse. So whatever the Mahatattva, Prakriti, is considered, he says, is my womb. And in that womb, I place a seed in the form of all jivas. So to again summarize the concepts of what is Brahman and what is Mahat Brahman, what is Mahat Tattva, what is Pradhan. So Pradhan is nothing but the combination of the 24 elements or 26, 24, 24 elements. That is called as Pradhan. Now the 25th and 26th elements, 25th is 26th element is soul. So till now in Pradhan there is no soul. There's 24 elements, they are called as Pradhan. When now these three modes of material nature, they mix into this Pradhan, they become Mahat Tattva. Or Mahat Tattva is also called as Brahman. So Mahat Tattva and Brahman are almost similar. So he said they are called as Brahman. Now, when the Supreme Lord impregnates this Brahman, so when Supreme Lord impregnates this Prakriti, so all this combined together, they are called as Prakriti. Brahman plus living entities combined together, they are called as Prakriti. So I said basically Prakriti ko jab Bhagwan glance karte, glance, when he glances at the Prakriti, all living entities, the seeds, they are placed inside this Prakriti. And that is called as the entire all that is all combined together is called as Brahman or Mahat Brahman. So little difficult to understand these concepts. It may get confused. So we have to go through multiple readings to understand. So that's why I said this concept simplified. What is Mahat Brahma? What is Brahma? What is Pradhan? What is Prakriti? What is Purusha? So here coming to the fourth verse now. In the third shloka, in this third shloka, there was basically one point only. If you could not understand that Jiva, how Jiva gets connected with the matter. So he said matter is matter, but Jiva, Lord impregnated Prakriti and all the seeds, they were put into inside the matter like that. That is the explanation of the third verse. Now, fourth verse. Very famous shloka. So please memorize this. This is surely going to come in your exam. Oh, I guess I have mentioned wrong shloka again.
No, Guruji, it's correct. Oh, okay, no, yeah.
No, Guruji, I think it is incorrect.
Or yeah, it should be Sarva Yuneshu Kante.
Yeah, perfect. I mentioned wrong shloka. Prabhu, please read the fourth shloka. Very famous shloka. Going to come
Anil
in your
Sahu,
exam.
Prabhu. Anil Sahu.
शर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तय सम्भवन्ति तासां ब्रह्म महद्योनि अहं बीजा प्रदापिता. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and I am the seed-giving father.
Yeah. So basically, here again, same thing. That Krishna is the seed-giving father. Sarva Yoni Shu Kaunteya. Sarva Yoni. Yoni means we understand. Yoni means species. The different species. It's all species of life. Murtayah Sambhavanti. Sambhavanti, it is Sambhav. Sambhav means possible. So they take birth, and that is where they take birth. Tasham Brahma Mahad Yoni. Brahma की जो योनि है, ब्रह्म means that's what I discussed. ब्रह्म की जो योनि है, उसके अंदर living entities जो birth लेते हैं, that is प्रकृति, material nature. And he said, who is the impregnator? Aham bija pradapita. Aham bija prada. Bija prada means seed giving father. I as a Mahavishnu. I am a Mahavishnu who impregnates all the this Mahad Brahman, and all different living entities they take birth. So this is in the fourth shloka. So Krishna is the father, Prakriti is the mother. Krishna is the father and mother Prakriti is mother. So somebody asks, who is your father? So you can say Krishna. Who is your mother? Then if we are in spiritual world, in devotee, we can say Radharani. Because Radharani's expansion is Prakriti. And what is your native place? Then we say Goloka. So all this. So Prakriti is the mother of all the jivas and Krishna is the father of all living entities. So having explained this, till now if you see matter and spirit, they both are incompatible. How spirit soul can come in contact with the matter? Because matter is, it is said na hanyate hanyamane sharire, then you cannot break nainam chiddanti shastrani nainam dahati pavaka. So ye, how is it possible that living entity uh, who is atma gets stuck up to the matter 24 elements? That is mainly because of this misidentification, false ego. False ego identifies this 24 elements to be like if I'm sitting in a car. Although car and myself both are different, but as soon as there is an announcement now that प्रभु आपके पार्किंग में कोई तो काले कलर की कार है, शायद से उसका एक्सीडेंट हो गया है, and if we have a black color का car, then immediately all that, oh मेरा तो नहीं गया, कोई ब्लैक कलर का मोबाइल जो है, आई थिंक रेडमी मोबाइल जो है वो प्राप्त हुआ है, इमीडिएटली से वो शायद मेरा भी रेडमी है, देन मेरा एमआई है, मेरा तो नहीं गया, बिकॉज देयर इज एन आइडेंटिफिकेशन लाइक दैट. सो एक आइडेंटिफिकेशन क्रिएट किया गया. And how the material modes bind the pure jiva. So jiva gets bondage because of these three modes. So these three modes उसको टाइट बांध के रखे, रस्सी के समान उसको बांध के रखे वाले. लाइक किसी को टाइड अप करना है हमें, तो रस्सी चाहिए. तो ये जो थ्री मोड्स जो है, they act like a रस्सी and they bind the jiva. So the next shloka from verse 5th to 9th onwards, all the explanation of the three modes will come. We'll quickly read this 5 to 9 now. Maybe last in 7 minutes, and the last 5 minutes will keep for question. So today we cover 9 verse. In I think next 3 or 4 sessions, this chapter will get over. So let's read fifth to ninth verses. Yes, bro. Someone can please read fifth verse.
अंकुश प्रभु, अंकुश बोलाते.
सत्त्वं रजस्तम इति गुणा प्रकृतिसम्भवा निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो देहे देहिनम् अव्ययम्. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by this mode.
Yeah, so basically here Vishnu Jagannath is writing Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, which are like arising from Prakriti, they bind the jiva in this body. So इन लोगों ने हमें इस body के अंदर बांध के रखा है. That is Vishnu Jagannath is writing three modes. Baldev Vidyabhushan Prabhu is also writing that तीन गुणों ने हमको इस बॉडी से बांध के रखा है, इस रस्सी से हमें छुटकारा प्राप्त करना है. Okay, next one. So here in the purport also he writes, after the Lord has described the appearance of all living entities, how are the gunas described? What type of bondage arises from the jiva from association with these gunas? So this verse answers this question. So, okay, we'll not go into the detail. Next verse. What is the result of mode of goodness? Next, some devotee can read.
अर्जुन सारथी प्रभु जी.
तत्र सत्त्वं निर्मलत्वं प्रकाशकम् अनमयं सुखसंगेन बन्धन्ति ज्ञानसंगेन चानघ. Translation: O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge.
Yeah, perfect. So mode of goodness is purer than others. So it's a little good rassi. All three are like ropes only that are binding us. But still mode of goodness rassi is little better rassi. There's little more freedom is there. Like we have three ropes which are binding. And as I mentioned, a cow is tied by cow is tied by neck. Cow is tied by tied to the neck by the rope. So the cow cannot move so freely. But there are some rope which is little more bigger and which gives little more freedom. That is mode of goodness. But one sure thing is it is also rope. Oh, that rope is also binding us only. It is better than other ropes, but it is also binding us to a material world. So so now the characteristics of different modes will come. Which mode, what qualities are going to come? So here the two qualities are mentioned: Jnanam and Sukham. So Jnanam and Sukham. Jnanam means knowledge, and Sukham means happiness. So if somebody wants to experience Sukham in the life, or he wants to acquire knowledge, then this mode is must. Jnanam and Sukham. Jnanam and Sukham comes by mode of goodness. And that's why before we even prepare to get knowledge, we have to prepare our surroundings. We have to prepare our surroundings to acquire the knowledge. So recently in our Bhakti Vedanta batch, like all of you are undergoing the courses, all of you are undergoing this courses. Similarly, we have Bhakti Vedanta going on, and our teacher was His Grace Vamshivadan Prabhuji. And my God, means there was one particular purport which came about etiquettes. The topic came about etiquettes, and Prabhuji was very concerned. Actually, what was happening? Many of other devotees, because we have so many classes, like we understand it's practical, but we have so many classes. No? There is a morning program, and there is Prashadam immediately, and then there is a Brahmachari class, and so many classes. But and there somehow this tendency became that devotees were coming little late for the classes. 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, 2 minutes late, and only preacher used to come before the time. So some Vamshadan Prabhu we found Vamshadan Prabhu exactly 5 minutes before the class starts. And Prabhuji used to be there. And we, including myself, sometimes used to get 1-2 minutes late, 5 minutes late. And Prabhuji exactly used to start Kirtan at 10:45, no matter if somebody is there or not. He was very humble enough to, he was very, very senior Vaishnava, but he was very, very humble. But later that day he mentioned, he said, the knowledge will not go like this. It is not that knowledge is just 1 hour of teaching. Proji mentioned it is not some that teacher is teaching, you are just hearing, and 1 hour the knowledge will come. There is a lot of background preparation which is there to receive this knowledge. So Proji was mentioning like in the earlier days, like when Radhesham used to give classes in the Kunji Bihari, and Proji was sharing his experience. All the devotees, they used to come for the class 10 minutes before the class was to start. They were present, and sometimes they used to leave after 15-20 minutes the class gets over. So now we understand. We asked Prabhuji, our life is so tight, there's a Prashadam and Bhagavatam and so many things to attend, that sometimes it becomes just a mechanical, the process of hearing and reading and chanting, that becomes just a mechanical, because somehow I have subscribed to the Bhaktivedanta course, I'm supposed to do this, what to do, and then I do it as a matter of formality. But he said, Prabhuji was telling that this will not help us to acquire knowledge, because knowledge has many prerequisites. How much respect is there for the knowledge, how environments and surroundings are there, where we are sitting to acquire this knowledge. Like there was I got photo from one devotee of one of our devotees, like from our voice only. So this photo came from our voice manager coordinator. He said, Prabhu, this devotee is listening to Bhakti Shastri class. He's sleeping on the foam fully. The video is on somehow, and he's listening to the class. I said, oh, unfortunate. He must be very tired. And that's why, unfortunate, devotees sometimes become too tired because of the hectic schedules. But we have to have a very good surroundings to prepare to get this knowledge. What kind of environment we are sending, whether the room in which we are sitting is clean or not clean, or it is so the environment does matter. And that's why in the earlier times, ancient times, I remember still my mother, as soon as she gets up, the first thing which will happen, that will the entire cleaning of the house. The rooms will get cleaned, and jhadu and pocha and the rangoli and the entire surroundings will get clean, because this prepares. Or even in the job, when we go for a company, we clean the workplace before we sit there, because when we choose the mode, and then mode will decide the destination. It is I who choose that whether I want to be in mode of goodness and passion or ignorance. And the results, Sukham and Gyanam is required, then mode of goodness is required. So time is already up. I'll not go into now reading of this. I'm just going show what we'll discuss the next class tomorrow. What we are going to discuss in the next class. So, okay, this is verse 5. And this is a short summary which maybe I'll share with you later. What is the which mode? What is the binding force? What are the characteristics of those modes? And what is the destination one attains? This all mentioned in this chart. If you want, you can take a snapshot, or maybe if you have maybe some books like Subodhini or others, they may also have this. This is from other source. So in case you wish, you can later take this. In one chart, entire chapter is being covered like this. What is the result of which mode? So basically today we discuss 14.5, 14.6. Goodness. Goodness means happiness is there, satisfaction is there, knowledge is there, and there is a superiority, which is binding force there. So we'll continue from the 6th verse onwards tomorrow, and we'll try to cover a little more verses. So thank you, Prabhu. Anyone has any question? Last 3 minutes are remaining. If you wish to ask any one question or want to share something, then you can share. Okay, so we'll stop here. All devotees can give their darshan. We'll stop there. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna.